Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. In this game, it is all about RNGesus over RNJudas. In other words, when you can, try to embrace success without being betrayed. That is literally my life motto when it comes to this channel. Because there are people out there who have watched me for years. Some of you have watched me for like 6 years. And you say to yourself, someday I'm going to hit it big and I'm going to email this Prof Hoff fella my luck. And that's what brings us to the summoner by name of BZNet Nameless, better known in the game as Nameless Namk, maybe, potentially. Anyhow, he looked down on his first, at least I think it was first, featured Paragon Crystal of the Early Access bundle, and he was filled with a literal onslaught of joy from a 7-star onslaught. Imagine that is where the crystal stops, in between a 6-star My Prom Date Invisible Woman and a 6-star OG buffed Iron Man. And if you think, well, Prof, you're a sucker, you're a chump, that's not really what he got. He just paused the crystal reel to make it look like an illusion. Well, touche. Let's look at the follow-up image. Huh. What do you know? A 7-star onslaught that he somehow had the control to save his rank up materials. And maybe this is his third rank 3 7-star. But most people, if they're Valiant, only have 2. Unless you've explored Necropolis, and then you have 3. But anyhow, immediately takes Unawakened Onslaught to rank 3 and sends over some spicy gameplay. Now I'm going to hide my webcam. And like me, he has had to have some help from some friends to try to figure out the best way to play him. A lot of people say the key is to fire off those heavies so that you can make those debuffs last longer. He is such a big champion. Alright, so there's a special one. Now, when I think of firing off heavies to last longer, I naturally think of Gamora in this game. And you can see the extended pause is really what makes the heavy so important. And so it's all about building those neuroshocks and firing off that extended pause, which is just a heavy. And there it is again. Now, at first, you think to yourself, well, this damage isn't impressive. This is like 4-star damage, maybe. But it's all about building to those specials, especially a special 2. Because as those debuffs continue to stack, you're building up that finish him Mortal Kombat style ending move. He has the special 2 ready to go and is firing it to show off really impressive degen damage. Now, I'm not saying this is apples and oranges, because I don't think it is. But keep in mind that this is a champion that kind of reminds me eventually of the crazy damage. Look back in years and years and years ago, Proxima Midnight. She was the hyped up champion that month, not Corvus. Because eventually, when all her missions were complete, you could do like Star-Lord 5.0 damage. The problem was people didn't want to use her because it was too annoying and it took too long to actually accomplish all those missions. This Onslaught video was 1:52, which for a rank 3 7-star potentially, although I guess here we have the 7-star Nameless Namek, and here we had the 6-star preview. So that was the 6-star. This is the 7-star. So I misspoke momentarily. Not a shocker if you've been following this channel. But now we can compare it to the 7-star. I still think of somebody like a Cosmic Ghost Rider who just immediately gets to a special 2 and does insane damage, and then with the armor breaks, finishes fights so rapidly that he for sure would have been tuned down at least a little bit if he had been part of the rebalancing program. But just like Hercules, he was before the rebalancing program. Also, part of the problem with this, in terms of a battlegrounds conversation, is that champions like Nimgod and Warlock and even Lady D counter mutant defenders so well that, unlike somebody like Maestro, who continues to just look like an insane defender even against Hercules and others in battlegrounds and war, etc., how practical is a 7-star Onslaught really gonna be? Because now we've got this insane 20,000 degen damage, and I think for certain matchups that's going to melt well. But in a timed battlegrounds matchup, is it really going to be the best? Maybe for the really annoying skill defenders like Atuma and even Mole God, Nick Fury. You know, that's kind of why people said, hey, Danny Moonstar, take a look. Take a look at Danny. Great skill counter. Well, now we have Onslaught. I'm not blown away, but I also see the potential, and I really think this is the kind of champion that's going to shine most when you have really annoying node combinations and certain defenders and bosses to where you think, well, bring in Onslaught. That's kind of how Shang-Chi is. I still don't really play well with him. I'm probably the worst Shang-Chi YouTuber for sure. But I've seen him just wreck my defenders and seen so many videos on YouTube and elsewhere where if you play him well, he's just, he's amazing. Kate Bishop is the same way. So I did want to read the actual text he sent me after playing the video, and that was the final video he submitted. He said, hey, Prof, big fan. Been watching you for years. Keep up the great work. Again, it's always really kind for people to say that. Thought you might like this video. So I'm still learning his play style, and essentially Biznet Nameless is making my day. Between Evizone, line, emails, DMs, I still have so many incredible people reaching out, supporting the channel, even though, especially in August when my promotion started, I wasn't sure how much content I'd be able to create. And even though it may not make that much of a difference to you all looking at the number of videos on my channel a month, 90% of the time that I used to spend on this, especially at nights, is no longer being dedicated to it, and I've never been more relaxed because of it. Yes, a lot of content creators, especially if this is their main source of income, the R word is not relax, it's revenue. But because I have a real job, even though this is a very important way to earn a living, I just remind people, like, we don't control the YouTube servers, we don't control the YouTube algorithm. Nothing that you think is guaranteed about one day's of revenue will carry over the next day. I can make $100 on YouTube one day and $4 the next day. And that is not at all a surprise. It's that variable of conditions. You're also setting your own homework on this platform. You determine your deadlines. It's fun. It's a nice challenge. I love new challenges, but there's something about having steady, reliable work that's also really nice to your mental health. And that's why YouTube continues to be something that I don't promote for money as much as I do for community. And this community is still awesome, even with all the changes we've had this year to it. And 7-star Onslaught, dream pull for sure. Congrats again to the summoner. Thanks for reaching out.